All right. Welcome, fellow TFFL owners, to another TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday, October 5th, 2016. We're looking ahead to Week 5 TFFL action. Joining me tonight, as always, we've got our full panel back, starting with our commissioner, skipper of the Sponge Fishermen, Chief.
Good evening.
Our three-time defending champs, Berto from Jack's Giant Killers.
Hey, Stick.
And our technical director and graphics department, czar and CEO of the K-Wheel Tank.
Good evening, everyone.
And joined by our special guest tonight, Michael Giovenco. Welcome. The head cheese of the Hormel hams. All right, so we've got several great topics lined up tonight. There is one thing, though, we're probably not going to discuss too much, believe it or not, and that is the TFFL trade market. I think it's a little too early for teams to be panicking too much, too early to be talking about buyers and sellers. We have no more undefeated teams, so I don't think anybody's really that far ahead that we should even be guaranteeing playoff spots to anybody yet. Now, we might just be a week away from all that after Week 5. But I don't think we're there yet. So before we get to our roundtable, as always, we'll kick things off with TFFL trivia. But this is a very special edition of TFFL trivia for two reasons. One, we have a special guest quizmaster tonight, Michael Giovenco. And I believe we have a multi-part trivia question tonight. So I'm going to get a chance to score some points here for the first time.
All right.
Michael, no. You're on mute.
You don't have sound on you, Michael. You're muted. We need Michael's microphone working. Oh, now. What happened? No. Oh, no, we don't have sound for Michael. We need sound, Michael. Yeah, we got to work on that. Yeah. You know, we're reminded consistently this is indeed an amateur broadcast production.
We did have sound, right?
We did. I think we had sound right when we came on the air, didn't we?
I have not heard Michael speak yet, actually.
No.
Oh.
I suspected he was on mute.
Or when he had...
we did when he joined.
How about now?
There you go.
There he is. All right, we got him. Good. Well done, Michael.
All right. I don't know what I did, but...
Okay. Well, now we're going to have TFFL trivia.
Roll with it.
Yeah, so we had... I heard everything everybody said, so... So we actually have a category today. So it's going to be 100-point games. I was kind of fascinated by 100-point games after scoring 110. It got me kind of thinking. I guess the first question is, which team and how many, or which team scored the most 100-point games in a season and how many was it? That's the first question. I think I'm going to keep it to 3, although I have about 4 or 5 here I can go with. Also, which team, second question, which team posted the first 100-point game in league history?
Wow.
And then the third question is, what season had the most league 100-point games? And I could also give you a little hint. None of the answers are the Mongols.
Excellent.
They weren't on my list. Michael, the third one was what season?
Yeah, what season had the most league 100-point games? And also, I guess a second point of that question is how many? And just another hint I'll give you here is over 19 season, there's been 64 100-point games, and this includes the playoffs.
I was going to ask. Okay,
so we're including the playoffs in this.
Right.
Nailed it.
You got this down, Chief?
Locked down.
All right. Let's quickly. Hank, again, I said we're not going to talk too much about buyers and sellers and who's, but let's reset the standings a little bit. after week 4, and then we'll dive into a roundtable chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and mix up just a little bit to try and stay away from too much of the boring standings straight up. I mean, I think we know kind of that there's nobody is 4-0 anymore. I lament, that stinks. We have a couple of 0-4 teams still, but it's still early. There's definitely a lot of movement to go. So what I've tried to put together here in the graphics department is just some either or which team out of these two are kind of in little groupings do you think has the better prospect or the better opportunity to kind of put things in the right direction. So let's start at the bottom. Are we going to see the Sponge or the AMPAC win a game first? Both currently sit at 0-4. We're into the cross-conference portion of our season. Who's going to be the first one to do it?
I think I'm gonna say the Sponge, because I think the AMPAC took a beating this week after being a pretty bad team to begin with. Kevin White on IR, Josh Gordon not coming back from suspension. His receivers are terrible. I think the Sponge are going to break through very soon here.
I'll take the other side. I'll go with the AMPAC. And maybe this week, I mean, at least the lineups that are in right now, I don't know how updated they are, but the AMPAC are only a 3-point dog, again, according to the website, but and the Sponge are 13. So maybe it happens this week for the AMPAC. So I'll go AMPAC.
Yeah, I'll say if it's going to be the AMPAC, it will have to be this week. I'm getting hurt pretty badly by buys this week, but then they're pretty much done until week 10. So I think if the AMPAC wins this week, obviously they would break through. Otherwise, I think it'll be the Sponge.
I think just the laws of gravity too. The AMPAC are 1-16 in their last 17 games, right?
Yeah, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the AMPAC.
Okay.
Rest assured.
So you're going with the mean reversion.
Yes. For you statistics fanatics out there.
Right.
Or the dead cat bounce.
What say you, Hams?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit biased because it's my brother, so I'll go with the Packers.
All right. Well, we will certainly see.
I think the Packers pull out a surprise this week against the Mongols.
Okay.
Minor surprise.
Does Michael look like a floating big head to anybody else?
Nah, look, the lighting is excellent.
On a faraway shot, kind of. Yeah.
I of course, absolutely think the Sponge will win because the AMPAC are terrible and are never going to win. Okay, so next question. We'll talk about our guests.
I like that reasoning, though.
Yes. Which of these teams has the better prospects for going forward here over the next several weeks? The Hams or the Senators?
That's a no-brainer.
I agree. Well, I think it's the Hams by a large margin. I mean, the Sens do get Tom Brady back, so that's a bump. And Tom Brady playing the Browns this week, but I think over the long term, I think you'd have to say the Hams and the strength of that team.
Yeah, I've made no secrets. I think that the Hams are the best team talent-wise in the TFFL. So put the Hams up against anybody. I'm gonna say the Hams.
The problem the Hams have, of course, is that they're going to lose to the Aliens in week 5. But other than that, I think that was a fairly easy question. The Senators do get Brady back, but I think that's a relatively mediocre lineup. They just beat the Aliens with a strong week, but it was a strong week to get to 71 points. And I even with Brady coming back, I don't think they get above 80 too often. Senators may be a wild card team given their start here.
Well, I think they're the highest scoring team 2 out of the 4 weeks so far.
True, they are.
Senators.
I think that was in the commissioner's report, wasn't it?
Might be. I just quickly, I agree the Hams are a very good team, but just to argue the other side, the Senators are starting to score some points. Brady is coming back. Calvin Benjamin started to play a little better. We'll see if those running backs can gel a little bit, but the Senators they're building something, I think.
I think they're a good team. The Hams are a great team.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go with our next question. We'll stay with the panel here. Who are you more interested in this division? Which one of these teams do you think has got the better long-term prospects in their division?
Tough one.
Tough one. I'll just start quick because I thought about this a little bit. I Stick is obviously ahead of schedule in terms of doing what he's trying to do with building this team. Ben Roethlisberger is having a great season and is helping him, and I think the Aliens go as far as he goes. I think that the Fats are getting it together here, and we'll see. I think they might get to be a pretty sneaky good team as we go along.
I can speak on this one. I'll take. I think they both look really good, but I think Matt Ryan started one game for the Fats at this point, and he's been on fire. So if he started Matt Ryan all 4 games, he's probably 4-0.
And Todd Gurley has not really done that much.
Right.
Start the season. Yep.
I mean, it's a pretty good team. Crabtree, I think everybody busted on Crabtree as being a bad keeper, and he's
lighting it up.
He's big points up on the board too, especially last week against me. Unfortunately, AJ Green, Sanders. It's a pretty good squad. No offense to the Aliens. I think the Aliens are pretty strong too.
Yeah. On top of everything you just said, obviously Julian Edelman makes a much stronger play from here on out. And I was just saying today that the Aliens have a better team than I give them credit for. But I think the performance of Matt Ryan right now is on another level. And you look at those receivers, it's pretty much everything Mike just said. I think it puts Boba Fett's maybe half a notch above the Aliens right now.
Yeah, I think it's close. I give the Aliens, the QB, assuming Roethlisberger stays healthy, and the running backs. But yeah, those receivers and the Boba Fett's are tough with Crabtree producing. So I say push, but I'll give a slight nod to the Aliens.
And I appreciate all the kind words. I think the problem with the Aliens right now is how many injured players I've got. On the latest, I don't know how bad LeGarrette Blount's hip is, but he apparently is dinged up a little bit. I've got look at my bench, and it's all injured guys.
Hey, you know what? There are some injuries, but the Fats, Latavius Murray's banged up now. Look for DeAndre Washington to come on strong now.
And as I told Phil, I think a couple days ago, these guys are going to start coming back. Zach Ertz comes back this week. Moncrief is probably a couple weeks away from coming back. Jonathan Stewart will be back in a week. So I've been winning with a lot of these guys on the bench injured. I'm going to start getting them back as reinforcements when I need them during bye weeks and such. So I'm still feeling good.
I have to say, I don't think there's ever been. I can't really recall a season where we've seen so many early injuries. Pretty substantial injuries too, especially in running backs. It's been a pretty crazy season so far.
Yeah,
I don't know. I agree with that, but at the same time, I feel like we've done these webcasts for a few years, and I feel like we say that every year lately around this time. But
injuries start taking their toll. Yeah.
But maybe I don't know. Maybe it has gotten worse, but I don't know. It just seems like it's. I don't know. What I see, it seems like every year you have this flurry of injuries, and then there's a bit of a. And maybe this will happen again. So maybe we're in for a few good weeks where we don't have the big injuries. But it seems like the last couple of years you've had a flurry in the beginning of the season, and then kind of things settle out, and there's not as many injuries.
Yeah.
Maybe due to the bye weeks actually. And then maybe you have some injuries at the end, but.
All right, well, we'll see. All right, we're going to do 2. I got 3 more of these, so we're going to do some rapid fire on these next 2 rounds. We're going to save the best one for last. All right.
You're not good at rapid fire.
All right. So rapid fire on the Beavers or the Devils in their division in terms of whose prospects going forward here do you like better?
Beavers by a wide margin.
Want to go? I'm sorry.
Beavers by a lesser margin.
Want to go for a walk?
Amanda by 3.5 points.
Hey, I have an important announcement.
Okay, go for it.
It's an alien announcement. I don't know if this might be the first ever alien invasion of an alien team owner. I don't know if anybody saw on Facebook on Saturday.
No.
Guy dressed up like a French fry.
I saw it.
Dressed up like a French fry. And I think that has to be only explained by some kind of alien. I mean, this man never, ever voluntarily dressed up for anything. And it was totalement his idea. Are we going to a French-themed birthday party? Mm-hmm. What should I wear? I don't know, all black. What if I went as a French fry? This guy right here, dressed up like a French fry. That's all.
Happy Halloween.
There you go.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
Now I have to yell at our blind and deaf dog, so excuse me.
Although I think Freedom Fry is the preferred nomenclature.
All right, to put this back on track, I will say that I think the Beavers are a pretty good team, so I think they definitely have better prospects than the Devils, but the Devils aren't as bad as I thought they were going to be.
I think the Beavers are the answer to this question.
Yeah, I'll go with Beavers.
Next one, rapid fire. Which one of these teams is more likely to get it together and make a playoff run?
Is that a serious question?
Well, I got to use every team, and this is what this was the leftover.
This is the one question I will not answer Mongols to.
No, I think we can universally agree the Lizards are probably the better take, but the Mongols are in a cycle here where I think they're maybe getting better.
I agree with that. I think it's close, but I'd still say the Lizards, but it's close.
Mm-hmm. The Lizards have helped themselves tremendously with their rookie running backs, and specifically Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard, right? Mm-hmm. Starting to get a lot of carries and looking good doing it. Paul Perkins may become a relevant player for them soon too, and they needed that at the running back position.
Greg Olson playing like a machine too. Yeah. Or running back.
Yeah, Lizards.
Yeah. All right, last one. Which of these teams is winning the Pac Bowl this year? Which one of these teams is more likely to make a run? I've been feeling really good about the Wheels being 3-1. I think that we've probably got a little bit lucky thus far, but I feel good about this team, and I think that the Killers are about to enter an extended downturn in the franchise over here, and we're going to see an extended.
We're just getting warmed up.
Yes.
I'll take the Wheels, but I think it's closer than you would think.
Killers. The Killers. Come on.
Come on.
I have no idea how the Giant Killers are actually 2-2.
They're acting pretty, winning ugly, that's for sure. But we're gonna get healthy against the Devils this week.
Yeah, I don't think
77 points we put up this week. You heard it here first.
I don't think you want to make the mistake of discounting a 3-time defending champion. Berto knows how to do this. I don't know if he's going to win a packed bowl, but I think you're going to get it back on track. But the answer to that question is the K-Wheels right now.
Oh,
right. Yes, it is. That's the answer to the question. All right, so there you have it. That's it from the graphics department. We'll check back in on the standings next week.
Bill, very, very creative. I like that.
All right. Good work.
We've already had a nice roundtable discussion before we even get into our roundtable discussion. So I'll try to limit this to a few topics, but we've got some good topics lined up. The first one I don't think we've ever really talked about. It's something NFL teams do a lot. I think like in the NFL, TFFL owners start with a division title really as their focus at the outset of a season. Yeah, we all want to win the Pac Bowl, but you start by winning your division title, locking in a good playoff spot, and edging out 2 teams in your division to do that. So my questions to you real quick are how much do you guys angle to beat your specific division foes, and how are you going about it? We've talked a bit about focusing on the early part of the season, which really means focusing on beating your division foes at the start of the year. There are teams like the Aliens that might go out and try to get a receiver or a tight end. who's going to offset a rival quarterback in your division. You might even try to mimic some of the strategies of a division foe that has gotten the best of you for several years. Tell me what you guys do here.
So I put together a team. I look at scoring the most points I can score week to week. And that's the alpha and the omega. How many points, what lineup I put together to score the most points. I don't care about offsetting. I don't care anything else. I just want who's going to score the most.
So I do look. I want to beat the wheels and the AMPAC more than anyone. And I think we have a great division rivalry. Even picking up a guy like Matt Asiata a couple weeks ago, and I shelled Darian Foster, and we'll see if that comes back to haunt me. But I also thought that potentially Ralph would get him, and I didn't want that to happen where he had McKinnon and Asiata. So I do look at things like that. If I have for example, 2 running backs who I think are equal, and one of those running backs happens to be the backup for the AMPAC or the wheels, well, that's that even sweetens it a little bit more, and that's going to push me over the edge to maybe take that guy. So I'm aware of it, and winning your division, you strive to do that, and you set yourself up in the beginning of the season, and maybe make that trade or that FA pick at the end of the season where you can beat your divisional opponents is big if you can do it. I mean, obviously, may not play out where you have the possibility to do that, but where you can, I mean, that's the bread and butter to win the division, and then you don't have to worry about going 7-6. You go 7-6 and you win the division. That's great. You're in the playoffs. You don't have to worry about a wild card.
Yep.
I co-sign everything Berto just said. There's nobody I like beating better than the Killers in the AMPAC, and I like having the tight division and the rivalry with these guys, and it is more fun. And I did put in a claim in on Matt Asiata for exactly the same reason that I didn't want Ralph to get him. I didn't get him either, but I think it's healthy. I think it's fun. I want to win the whole thing, and I agree with Chief that yes, you're putting the best lineup you can every week, but if it comes down to a coin flip, I'll start the guy who's got the receiver who's got his quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with Chief. Pretty much 0. Don't really give it much thought. I just want to score the most points and win. I think it's probably more important that you win your conference. So I think that's more something that I look at, but it's kind of too tough to try to think about matchups or getting players from different division foes, or I don't think that really matters all that much. Go ahead.
No, go on, Mike. I'm sorry.
So I mean that's pretty much my take. I think if it's probably another interesting trivia question that we could come up with is, I think this might have been a somewhat recent one, maybe. But how many Pac Bowl champions were conference also won their conference title? I think having that bye is just so important that I don't really think too much about the division.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Well, the other thing I was going to say was, something came up the other week about rooting for, or maybe it was last week, about rooting for, the NOCO over the SoCo. I always root for the SoCo teams.
I don't think we've talked about that.
I always want to see the SoCo, except for the Killers, obviously, beat the NOCO. Beat the NOCO. I'm always rooting for the SoCo up until I play them and the playoffs and obviously the Party Bowl. So
Yes, same thing. Absolutely.
Good. Well, that was a good question. We had a little divergence among the panel. Next question, and Berto, I think you get credit for this. Maybe it was Chief. I want to talk about TFFL franchises that have, I think this was Chief actually, that have 2 running backs from the same NFL team. And there's several ways this will happen. It can happen accidentally. perhaps an NFL trade ends up putting two of your guys together in the same NFL backfield. You might be forced into it, and I think that's sort of the case with Hank this year. Derrick Henry was the clear number 2 pick, and he already had DeMarco Murray. You sort of had to make that pick. And then the third option is maybe you opt into it quite willingly, and I think the Steel City Mongols fall into that camp, having drafted Devontae Freeman, following that up the next year with Tevin Coleman, and then doing it all over again by keeping both of them heading into this year. Let me give you some quick stats. We've talked about this topic in the past. I think it's taken on new life this year because of the K-Wheels and because of some of the stats I'm going to tell you. There's a great story with this. The Mongols through 4 weeks, and I know it's only through 4 weeks, but the first 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of the year, they did not start both of those running backs. They started Devontae Freeman all 3 weeks, and all 3 weeks, Tevin Coleman outscored him on the bench, including a 22-point performance in week 3, a 9-point performance in week 2. He did start both of them in week 4, and Tevin Coleman promptly put up 0 with 8 from Devontae Freeman.
But that's a bye week issue. Anyway, he's on a bye.
Yeah, fair enough. I also suspect at some point he was going to maybe feel some pressure to get Coleman in there, if nothing else, or start both of them. The K-Wheels, all 4 weeks, have started both Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. And you could, the flip side here is you could argue, if they would just stick with DeMarco Murray, who has scored 14, 6, 14, and 17 points, they'd probably be better off putting somebody in instead of Derrick Henry, who's got 2, 2, 2, and 0. So 2 questions. Is it a smart move to grab 2 running backs from the same NFL team? And if you do, knowing they're going to be sharing the ball, do you plan on starting them both?
Well, I'm okay with the former. I don't think there's anything wrong whatsoever about having 2 of the guys on a team. In fact, I think that's oftentimes smart. Usually you don't see him, kept 2 from the same team. But yeah, I have no problem with 2 guys on the roster. Even if in Hank's case, one was drafted highly, that's fine. DeMarco Murray is a good chance he won't be there next year. It's the starting them that I think is really where the road's going to diverge here. And I suspect Berto will take the opposite. But, I think you start one guy for a team. I think that, yes, you're guaranteed to get all the running back points from that team. But, I mean, there's almost always a 75-25 split, at best. I think you're better off taking that 25% guy and replacing him with a guy on another team to the greatest extent possible. If you have no other options, then sure. But I like, even though it hasn't really worked for him, I think I would have played it probably the same way the Mongols have this year.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think this is an evolution of strategy, and honestly, following an evolution of the NFL too. In that, I think it's so important now more than ever to own a backfield, not just own a running back, but own the actual backfield. So. That's why I was so high on getting Christine Michael this year, because, I wanted to own that Seattle backfield like I did last year, and it didn't.
Right. But last year you didn't start both Lynch and Rawls at the same time.
Right.
If you got Michael, you got to start Rawls and Michael the same week.
No, and that's my point. So I think it's important to own a backfield, but unless it's like a crazy offense that is really lighting it up, which kind of is the Falcons right now, in all honesty. They are lighting it up. I mean, I think DeMarco Murray and Henry are a little bit of a different category, but certainly Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman are both playable right now, either one of them or both of them together. So unless the offense is explosive, then it doesn't really make sense. But now more than ever, I think we've gone beyond in terms of strategy, we've gone beyond handcuffs. We're now into owning a backfield versus just having the handcuff. You want that backfield. But yeah, to Chief's point, it doesn't necessarily mean starting both unless it's an offense like Atlanta is right now, which could change.
I will quickly chime in, just defending where I am. I have no desire to start Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray at the same time. The reality is Jamal Charles has been hurt. Doug Martin is out. Devontae Booker has not become somebody I can trust. Wendell Smallwood is in the lineup this week. Where did that come from? So I now have somebody I can put in. I've been starting Derrick Henry along with DeMarco Murray, largely because I don't have options. But I do like the backfield strategy that, yes, should DeMarco Murray go down or get hurt or whatnot, I've got his backup. If I'm the Mongols, I am definitely starting both Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. That offense is scoring a lot of points, and I don't think he has a better option. So I would definitely be starting both.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Jamal Charles, because I meant to do that. That's a very fair point.
Yeah, and God willing, he's coming. He's right there. Let's see it.
Yeah, I'll say a couple of things on this one. Just looking at the lineups, it looks like the Wheels have Henry out for the first time this year, over Jesse, and putting Jesse James in. I'm going to call that a mistake. That'll be a mistake this week.
But I have another reason for that though.
That's the kind of bold, clear, antagonistic insight
Michael brings to the table. Who am I
We
playing?
need more of that.
Michael, who am I playing this week?
Let me see.
Is it Roethlisberger?
K-Wheels Beavers.
That's why. I want to shove that right in Thornburg's face.
Hey, Stick, I'll just say one more thing to this too. If you have a backfield, the good thing about that is if they're both pretty good, you always have that opportunity the next year. Maybe one of those guys is a free agent. He's successful. He's going to move on to somewhere else, and then you have that guy and you have somewhere else. Not to say that if you have a backup somewhere else, that's not going to happen either. But that's an opportunity as well.
Yeah, I think this is also something Berto and I had a conversation about in terms of Devontae Booker. In the third round, he thought I should have taken Booker.
Oh no!
And I took Eifert, and I don't know. I just when you're giving up a lot to have two guys in the same backfield, I don't know. It's not a strategy that really appeals to me. I'd rather go with somebody else who has an upside on another team, and you're spreading things around a little bit than sort of stacking your chips in one backfield. But I could see either way. I could see the rationale.
Chief talked about the 75-25 split. The problem I've got with Atlanta's backfield from a fantasy standpoint is it's a 50-50 split, it looks like right now. Yeah, I want nothing to do with that. I don't mind drafting Cameron Artis-Payne as a handcuff to Jonathan Stewart, or if I happen to see him as the transitionary running back who's going to become the next starter in Carolina, that's a different thing too. But I don't want two guys from the same backfield. I certainly don't want to be keeping two of them. And I don't think I'd want to be starting both of them. Okay, one last topic for the roundtable here. I promised we would talk about the Amsterdam Packers. Berto already brought up this unfortunate stat. The Pack are 1-16 in their last 17 regular season games. That's obviously fresh off of the worst season in TFFL history, 1-12 last year, and 0-4 thus far this year. Ralph is already publicly conceding this season. We might argue there's still time, but with an 0-4 start, it's going to be tough. But this franchise has running backs Melvin Gordon, Zeke Elliott from the last two drafts. If they continue down this path, Leonard Fournette with the #1 overall pick in 2017. Suddenly that's really an extremely strong running back core to build around. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, their wide receivers are just a disaster right now. They were weak coming into the season. They just lost Josh Gordon, and I think the Pack aren't going to keep him ever again. Kevin White injured on IR now. This is 2 full seasons where he's been banged up.
Non-keeper.
Yeah, I don't think he's a keeper. So first off, what went wrong? Has Ralph lost his edge as a fantasy owner? And how do the AMPAC fix this? What pieces beyond those running backs can they carry forward and build around?
I think our guest should go first.
And yes, we do have a guest.
Well, I guess the first thing I'd say is that, if I just looked at the scoring so far, Ralph has put up 251 points this year. That puts him, I think, pretty much the middle of the pack. So I mean, he's just had bad luck. I don't think we should say that that this is going to be a team that's going to finish with the #1 pick again. You have two good running backs with Gordon and Elliott, as you're saying, and Wilson. I mean, that's three guys that are really, really good at their position. So I don't see this team being – they're not going to be 1-12 this year. They've had some bad luck to start. The wide receivers are definitely a mess, but those are also positions that you could fill pretty cheaply off the waiver wire or do a couple of small trades. I think going back to the offseason, one of the things that I thought was a little bit of a mistake was the Fleener deal. I think Chief brought that up, and I don't see why you didn't keep Graham. I think with Graham on this team right now, he probably looks a lot better. But I don't think it's going to be the #1 overall pick. I think it's a pretty good team, and I think you see them finish somewhere in the middle, more in the middle of the pack.
So I'll jump in here. So I think what the Pack have done the last couple seasons if they've traded away a lot of talent for picks. And now they have those picks, and they had a crappy draft last year. I think we all agreed kind of on that. And then they had a good draft this year. And don't forget that next year there's a lot of good running backs coming out, not just Fournette. It's going to be where this year was weak, next year's going to be strong. And they also have the Mongols first-round pick. So I don't expect the AMPAC to clean house this year. They're going to kind of hold serve, maybe trade a couple pieces here and there, but not a big piece. And I agree with you, Stick. They're going to have a rock-solid running back foundation, which I think is what brings championship titles. So I think they're in good shape, unfortunately. Yeah. Moving forward.
I'd also add, I mean, you also have to think about McKinnon. McKinnon in there is Peterson done for the Vikings?
And dare say that. That is not okay to talk about on this webcast. Is Adrian Peterson done?
Dude,
don't you dare.
He's 31.
I know. I refuse to acknowledge that that's even a possibility.
And he's counting $17 million against the cap next year.
That's the big.
Yeah, he'll be suiting up for the Chicago Bears next year.
Yeah.
Burying the Vikings for 150 yards a game.
I think that was a great pick, and somebody was blasting Ralph for taking McKinnon like in the 4th round or something like that. I thought it was a great pick.
It was a little early, but yeah, whatever. Look, I think Berto is and Michael both said, look, yeah, the foundation he's put together is very nice. I think that he's definitely on the right track. I hope that he wallows in mediocrity and worse for many years to come.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is you have a little bit of mean reversion, right? I mean, here's a guy who's had a lot of luck, sitting on the top of the standings, probably still in winning percentage.
Probably. Him and the Devils.
Having a little bit of bad luck.
Yeah.
Not once, but twice we get mean reversion on the webcast tonight. That's beautiful.
We bring the statistician on board.
I don't have a whole lot to add. I was on record on the off-season webcast as saying I thought the AMPAC was going to finish higher than the Wheels this year, and maybe they still will. Well, look, you look at this team right now, and you have at best 5 guys you would keep on your roster going into next year. And maybe Ryan Matthews makes a shaky 6th. I think he had his team looked a lot better a month ago than it does now.
That's true.
I think, we looked at Josh Gordon, we looked at Kevin White. We saw young guys that might produce, that should produce for him. It just didn't happen. It's not going to happen. You know, and it's not his fault. I think most of us would have made the same evaluations. It just didn't work out for him. So we, we cash out this year and we start again next year with, like Alberto said, potentially 2 of the top, maybe 3 picks for the season we're in today. And if he gets another good running back and whoever the top rated, wide receiver is next year, he's going to look very, very strong.
A couple things I would add to this. I don't know that anybody really talked about Russell Wilson too much. We've had this debate in the past whether Russell Wilson is a great fantasy quarterback or not. He's coming off a nice week 4 where he had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But his first 3 weeks of the year, he had 2 touchdowns total. So we may revisit that question at some point. And if Russell Wilson isn't a strong keeper quarterback going forward, I think that's an issue for the Impact. They have a weak enough receiving core. They really need the other 2 pieces, running back and quarterback, to be stronger. I also want to talk about receivers because I think it was Michael who said, it's easy to go and pick up receivers. I think a big topic maybe for a future webcast is how important a strong receiving core is these days to fantasy success as the NFL has become more of a passing league. And I think you need 3 really strong receivers scoring points every week for you. I don't think it's necessarily easy to go find those guys. So I think that's going to be a big challenge for the Impact. It's not going to be as easy as we might think. But getting stud running backs is even a bigger challenge, and they've at least conquered that. Those 2 first-round picks next year will help even more. They're going to have a great running back core 2017 and beyond. All right, Michael Giovenco, we have multiple trivia answers to get to.
Oh, man.
Hey, I got a bonus trivia question to throw out real quick.
Sure.
What do John Brown, Amari Cooper, and Alshon Jeffrey have in common? 0 touchdowns on the year.
Oh, I wrote it down.
Throw this out, something to discuss. Because there are a lot of players out there. A lot of players they're getting the yards, getting the opportunities, they're just not finding the end zone. And will it turn around?
Yep.
I got another one on just to follow up on that one. What does Emmanuel Sanders, Larry Fitzgerald, and Demaryius Thomas have in common? They all trail Eddie Royal as a free agent in point scoring.
And it's probably not the first time you could have asked that question about Eddie Royal. He's had some great starts to the season.
You mean future sponge fisherman Eddie Royal?
Starting this weekend for you?
As of Saturday noon, sponge fisherman Eddie Royal, that guy?
All right, Michael Giovenco, what do you got?
So first question.
I'm guessing so hard. First question.
First question was what the first team to have a 100-point game.
Oh, that was this one.
First?
No, it was actually it was the Hormel Hams.
It was the Hormel Hams.
1997, Week 4, 110 points scored against the Aliens, 80.
Okay.
A little bit of a preview for this weekend.
I remember that game.
Mm-hmm. Which one's the next one?
I think we had what is the most 100-point games in a season?
Most overall in a season?
Yeah.
And what year?
I'm guessing totally.
I have Dirt Devils.
I thought it was most total by whole team.
There was 2 parts to that question. So it was most 100-point games in a season by a team and how many?
Oh, that one.
Okay. That says Ampac with 4.
Okay. Keith, what do you got?
I get Impact 3.
I'm sorry, I have Lizards too.
Okay. No, you're all wrong. You got Hams with 3.
That's the pattern.
All right.
And then I think the last question we had, was the season with the most 100-point games, and how many?
I had guessed.
2014. I put 4. That's clearly.
I've got hams.
I've got 2003 8 times.
2001 10 times.
2010 6.
Okay.
2014 4.
It was the 2000 season with 700-point games.
All right. So out of this entire trivia experiment we just did here with Michael, how am I scoring this? Is
Not
there
a tough question.
Everybody's 0.
Anything right?
Yeah, 0.
zeros for everybody?
I'll give you an easy one. I'll give you an easy verbal one.
All
right. So how many? All right. Who scored more 100-point games in the playoffs? The Devils or the League?
Ding.
Devils.
League.
League.
Tie.
So we have 2 on the Devils.
I'm on the
Yeah,
Devils.
the Devils beat me in the Pac Bowl twice, scoring over 100.
Yeah, it's actually a tie, so you're all wrong.
The,
Oh, right. No, we're at tie. That's a win.
It's 5-5.
That's a win. You can't get that wrong then. We're all winners here.
That's impressive, though.
Nice.
Okay, let's turn it over now to our commissioner, Chief, for any rants and reminders.
No. Reminders. I don't know. What is it tomorrow? Is it Cardinals and 49ers?
Yeah.
The game we'll watch because it's on, but otherwise probably wouldn't care about. No, man, it's good to have Michael on. I always appreciate his insights. Been a frustrating year. I got a lot to get worked out in the rant against, but I think I got it out in my. And again, I know it's artificial intelligence, and I know it's formulaic. Man, that fantasy journalist guy is just pushing my buttons lately.
I know.
That was nice, Chief.
Yeah, you could have won if you made this choice I recommended and 3 other ones.
I'm the worst owner in the league and not listening to him.
I am.
I can't wait after I see that write-up to see your response.
This guy who, whatever. I don't listen to him. I start Andrew Luck over Ryan Tannehill. I think he started Tannehill 3 out of the 4 games, so I'm just not going to listen to him.
Yes, you are.
It's not going to happen.
Give us some rants on him. Come on.
But no, I got nothing here.
Chief, who do you play this week?
I play the Boba Fett's.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely rooting for you.
I do not like my lineup, but barring what happens in the FAIR process, and listen, I think I submitted this for a possible topic. We'll talk about it again probably next week. There is very little FAIR activity.
Yeah,
and I think there's nobody. I've used nothing in what we have. We've had 3 periods.
Yeah.
I floated the 1 to try and get Matt Asiata away, but that was it. Didn't get him.
Chief may have frozen up.
I think we lost Chief. I think Berto jumped off. Stick, wrap us up.
Wraps up. Yeah. So we'll talk more about free agents and IR picks. They are down this year. But the problem is, this could be a quick discussion. You go look at the list of free agents out there. There's not a lot of enticing choices.
Eddie Royal.
Yeah. So Michael Giovenco, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the impossible trivia.
Yeah, no problem.
That was good.
I'll keep you on your toes.
Please do. No, that's fun. That's fun. There's not a chance in hell I'm getting any of those right then.
So it does seem like the Hormel Hams are, again, it's early, but have emerged as sort of everybody's favorite at this point in the year.
It's a little that's a little scary.
And we'll see. This is a big game for us this week, Aliens and Hams. But if you keep it up, Michael, we'll definitely have you back heading down the stretch this year to talk about one of our title favorites, perhaps.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Last year when I came on, I went on I think it was a 6 or 7 game winning streak. So that's why I'm here.
All right, good.
So
And another.
If I start on a winning streak, you probably won't see me back on.
All right, we're
Like
gonna
I
try
was
and get you
saying-
to keep going. You're coming through the north now, Michael. We're gonna try and knock you down.
All right.
So Michael's just using us as a good luck charm for the Hams.
Springboard. Springboard.
Now I understand.
Nice.
All right, Stick. Up to you.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, let's good luck to all the teams on our panel, including our guest Michael.
Thank you.
Enjoy week 5, Chief. Hopefully you can get your first win of the season, and we'll have happier times next week for all of us. So good luck to everybody in week 5. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
Yeah.